Hi, Dr. Michael Warren here. We're now in part 4 of the Practice Growth Formula. Again, we built it on the Irresistible Offer, the psychologically driven website, and how to find your hottest potential prospects and patients through maximizing Google advertising. Now, for our 4th section, before we go into the details, I want to show you how somebody finds and basically ends up booking an appointment. So again, of course, it's by word of mouth, online, community event, or drive-by. A lot is driven by word of mouth. They Google you to find your website, check out reviews, and really compare you against the 3 to 4 other practices in your area. Finally, something gets them to act. And in our case, it's going to be an irresistible offer and a psychologically driven website. And they get on the phone and they call your practice. Now, what happens at this point? If they do not think that it sounds good, what happens to them? So if they don't end up booking an appointment with you, where do they end up going? Right. They immediately pick up the call and they phone your competitors. Sorry, pick up the phone, call your competitors. So this is now the most critical point in this key. So my question to you is, how do you know if your front desk is now the conversion point? How do you know if your receptionist has picked up a bad habit and is in fact accidentally turning people away that are calling your practice? And I hate to tell you, but this happens more often than not. Or what if he or she has picked up a habit that they just become sloppy? So for example, they don't greet people very nicely, they don't ask them or discuss with their name, or they don't offer them an appointment. So they're taking dozens and dozens of calls per day, and they're never even offering anybody an appointment. So they're making the other patient ask if they have an appointment available rather than saying, hey, let's get you booked in. I've got 2 spots available today or tomorrow. Which one works best for you? So if this were to happen, do you think that you would ever even know about it? Because all the prospective patients that would get this not terrible experience, but not an experience that would end up in your appointment book and seeing you in practice, would they ever tell you? Because these patients would never show up. And so you would never even learn about this. And so if your receptionist, in fact, knew their calls were being monitored, their performance measured, and their calls scrutinized, do you think that this would change their performance? And I bet you'll think, yes, of course it will, compared to where it is now. So what I want to share with you is basically this perfect call framework. It's extremely simple. And the goal of this is to give you a 5-star front desk. So what I used to believe is that large amounts of training and a perfect script was going to be able to get the end result. But in fact, this isn't the case. You and I can discuss how to do a perfect call in 2 minutes or less. And here it is. First of all, it's got to be engaging. So the front desk team has to be smiling, bubbly. Hey, thanks for calling the ABC Medical Clinic. How can I help you? Next, offer to schedule a time. So this is each and every time this front desk team member must be offering to schedule an appointment. Again, everyone's nervous when they call, and they must have this offer to be able to maximize those calls into appointments. Thirdly, when they offer to schedule the appointment, they share why this is such a unique practice. What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different from the other practices in the area? Why have you built the practice the way that you have? And this will really resonate with the patients because they're just looking for somebody to solve their problem. And if you give them a great reason, they're going to love to book an appointment and come in. Next, of course, they secure the appointment, and they do this each and every call, each and every time. So it's not the intellectual training of learning how to do it. It's the motivation to make sure this is done each and every call and each and every time. And once this gets done, it literally doubles the new patients from the current calls that you're receiving. So the method to do this is that you must be recording the calls so that you and your front desk team are able to review them together, and you can understand the strengths and weaknesses. And ideally, in fact, you're able to do an external resource that can do this for you. So my question to you is, how do you create this front desk improvement? So at first, what I thought is that this was with data. And I went on this quest about 3 years ago to figure this out. And I thought, great, if we can get data on the front desk, this will solve everything. And wrong. So we showed the data to the owners, the managers, and the front desk team members through UpBook. So this is the system that's designed to basically remove the veil on the black box in the front desk. And it had very little, if not any impact. Basically, the performance didn't change. So then I thought, geez, what could it be? Oh, well, then it's got to be data plus training. So we show people their performance and we train them to be better, then of course they're going to be better. And of course, wrong answer. So we'd see a very small blip after the training, and then people would go right back to the previous performance. So that really wasn't very helpful. But then finally, about 2.5 years on this journey of highs and lows, I finally figured it out. And I would call the front desks of the practices using UpBook that were doing extremely well, so converting calls into appointments, which it measures. And I would say, what are you doing that's so special? And they would say, we're running rewards for if the team hits the targets. So that was great. And they were saying they were being busy and they were getting so many patients. And I realized that was it. Is you combine data plus rewards, and boom, you're able to change behavior. And so this is bingo, the correct answer, and it actually changes behavior in a long-term way. So just to show you how this works within the UpBook platform, because I know of no other way to be able to do this except manually. And manually, it breaks down because you and your manager doesn't have the time to do this with this instant gratification for the team. So basically what this does is it measures your scheduling rate. So how many new patient calls come in actually become appointments, and it actually gets measured by person. So you understand if Sally takes calls, 8 out of 10 of the people she speaks with books an appointment. But if Mary takes calls, it's only 2 out of 10. So first of all, you have to measure it. Next, your team is able to, or you or your manager are able to set a target. So you can say, look, if you start at 45%, which most practices do, if you can book 65%, you'll be able to get a reward. And this reward is typically, $15 to $25 every 2 weeks per person. So it's exciting enough that it makes them motivated, to perform at a high level. And then we have this countdown. So the countdown really motivates your team to be able to hit that target and receive the reward. And of course, when they do, boom, it's instant gratification, and they get their reward balance filled up to that $25 amount, for example, and they get to either bank it, depending upon their personality, and some do, and they save up to $500 over time, or they get to spend it immediately on the various gift cards that are available. So in other words, if you want to be able to change those old habits into new habits, you have to be able to measure the performance, so measure the outcomes, make sure that you're understanding the trends of what's going on, and link those performance improvements and trends to rewards and make it fun. And that's exactly what UpBook was designed to do, because again, I couldn't find any other method to be able to do it. And you can see from Dr. Kevin, basically, again, going from stagnant growth to being able to triple the average benchmarks of growth, primarily through using the UpBook platform. So in other words, whether you use UpBook or not, the key is to make sure that you have a 5-star receptionist front desk. So how do you do this? Is through really measuring call performance, using a call framework that's used the same way each and every time, and ensuring that if your front desk are using this framework, and then linking their performance to rewards. And if you do this, your team are going to love it because they're getting rewarded, and your practice will literally double in its growth rate as you're connecting patients to your practice. Cool. Awesome. So for our next one, we're going to talk about the final key in the pyramid, the fifth critical component. And I look forward to sharing that with you shortly. So see you there. Okay. Bye now.